Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is a very different video. I'm actually going through one of my back and bicep sessions. I probably should have just talked during this, but I thought it'd be actually a bit different if I just talked over the top of it and did something like this. In all honesty, I actually just completely forgot the mic up and then I realized that I didn't want to. So that's why we're doing this, but it's something slightly different. So only body weight and free weights today when I was doing the back and biceps. If you're doing back and biceps, or if you're doing any session with just free weights, pull-ups should probably be in the program. They're one of the few vertical pulling exercises you can do when you only have free weights, because usually it'd have either some form of cable or a lat pull down machine or something like that. But when you want some form of vertical pulling exercise, you only have so many options, and when you have free weights, you're very limited. So pull-ups is a really good shout here. I did one set of 30 and it was far too heavy, to be honest with you. I did a set of 3 and then I dropped it down and then did actually a rest pause set of body weight. You can see here the technique's breaking down slightly. You need to just determine what is an acceptable level for your technique to break down. For some people, it won't be any at all. For some people, they'll give themselves a bit more room to work with. Because it was body weight and because it was pull-ups, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. You know, the worst thing that happened is to just drop off the bar. I'm actually going to go back here because I missed a bit. As you can see, these pull-ups weren't great. I did a set of 3 at 30 and then a set of 0 at 30. Next set was with 20, I think. I need to check my logbook. And then did a set of body weight. Just took it to complete failure because, you know, it's safe to do, so you may as well see where your limits are. It's different on an exercise like a squat or something, because you don't want to take that to absolute failure, because you might actually get hurt. So you're not going to get hurt on an exercise like pull-ups, hopefully not anyway. Next exercise was chest support dumbbell rows. The reason I was doing chest support dumbbell rows was I was going to do dumbbell rows, and then my back was just on the fragile side a bit, so I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to do a chest support version of this, and just 2 dumbbells, which also saves a wee bit of time, and then bench on 1 rung of an incline, purely just so I could get a full range of motion. If that bench is flat, obviously then my arms would be down here. Aim here for chest support dumbbell rows, just make sure hips and chest were on the bench. Aim to get that elbow nice and low. Keep it away from the shoulder. Keep the hands away from the shoulder, so I'm aiming for that motion there. I want this to be a bit more lat focused and not as much upper back focused. I actually tried to use straps for this and they did not work. Not the straps fault, just the setup. As you can see here, I'm trying my best, but it really is not working. So I actually just got rid of the straps and did it anyway. Didn't really need them in the end because the weights probably weren't heavy enough. I think these are 35s. Main aim, like I said, drive the elbows towards the hips, and also just make sure that the chest doesn't lift completely off the bench, because then you're kind of turning it in the lower back exercise. You're using your lower back to lift your chest rather than thinking of rowing the dumbbells with your elbows. Right, last set of these, just ignore the hair and me balding, please. And yeah, last set of these, once again, try the straps. Once again, did not work. I will know for next time not to bother, because I actually didn't need them. And as you can see, I nearly smashed my face off the bench. So you can try it if you want, but I will not be trying them again. Then, same as pull-ups, because it's safe to do so, just go to absolute failure. The worst thing that's going to happen is you just set the dumbbells back on the floor if you can't do any more reps. There was a few bad reps in there where I was really just trying to get the failure. And I think failure was achieved, to be honest. Right, next exercise was chest supported upper back rows. So very similar, but the only difference is you can see my elbows were about here in the last variation, and now they're flared way out. Reason is so I can target my upper back slightly more. Once again, same aim, keep the hips on the bench, keep the chest on the bench, and make sure that I'm not lifting my chest excessively off the bench. As you get tired, your elbows are going to want to tuck. You just need to make sure they stay flared out so you can target that upper back a bit more. And same premise as the other 2 exercises, just go to failure. The worst thing that happens is you just set the dumbbells back on the floor. Last, I don't know why I said last, because it's clearly not the last exercise. I suppose it's the last rowing variation, so we'll go with it's the last rowing variation. Inverted rows, slightly different. I wanted these to be a bit more upper back biased. That's why I'm kind of lining the bar up with my chin rather than lining the bar up with my chest. If I was lining the bar up with my chest, it's a bit more of a lat bias row, whereas I'm aiming to flare those elbows out, target the upper back a bit more. Just some form of variation. You can do either variation. It's not don't overthink it. It's not that. Just do whatever variation you want. Then same again, take it opposite failure. I actually lifted my feet just to make the exercise a wee bit harder. To make the exercise easier, you walk your feet in. Like if your feet were under there, nah, I need to go back. I'm not done talking yet. If your feet were under here, then the exercise would be blah, blah, blah. If your feet were under here, the exercise would be a lot easier, whereas I want my feet as far away from me as possible. I also want to elevate them and make the exercise harder. You could load the exercise and put a weight on your stomach or something, but I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do more reps. I really couldn't be bothered trying to load the exercise up. Last back exercise was back extensions. As you can see, I'm pretty sure I'm going to change the setup here. Yeah, because I am not in the right setup. I'm way too far forward. So I want my hips basically lined up with the pad here. Basically means I can drive my hips down into the pad and get a big squeeze in my lower back when I get to this position. I'm aiming to get my shoulders at least in line with my hips to get that full range of motion. You can also hold for a second when you get your back like in line. That's a really, really good variation. If you want to make it slightly more difficult, you can hold when you get to this position here. I just loaded the thing up. I actually got up to 60 here, so there's a set of 40, and then I moved on to 60. I actually put this plate down. It worked really well because I meant I could get my hands underneath the plates. Otherwise, you can't really get your hands underneath the plates. And then, like I said, main aim, drive the hips down into the bench. Make sure to get those shoulders up there around parallel. It was actually pretty tough in the biceps because, well, to be honest, it's 60 kilos you're trying to hold. And holding 60 kilos in that position is not the easiest thing to do. As you can see, I actually have a mad pump in my biceps, obviously between all the rowing variations and holding on to that 60 kilos. And then just took the thing to failure again and then just dropped the plates back onto the 2.5 to make sure I didn't squash my fingers. That might actually be a 1.25. That's not really relevant. The main thing was take the failure, get rid of the plate safely, and not to drop the plate on my fingers. Now on the biceps. Bicep variation number 1 was hammer curls. I actually made a mess of this, to be honest with you. So the first set was all right, then all left. And then the next set, as you'll see in the video here, I did alternating. So just make sure whatever way you start, that's what you do for all your sets because they are slightly different. And one may feel slightly different than the other. There's nothing wrong with either or, but just make sure if you're doing it for 3 sets, you do the same variation for all 3 sets. Last bicep exercise of the day, last exercise of the day was an incline seated bicep curl. Just main aim, it was not to like overly rotate those elbows because then you're bringing your front delta into loads. Just aim to keep the elbows kind of by the sides. Don't need to pin them to the sides because then it's really awkward. Just kind of like let them flow a wee bit, but just make sure that your elbows aren't rolling forward excessively, and then just take the thing to failure, and that's really you. Right guys, that brings us to the end of today's video. This video is about to finish off. If you want more videos like it, just subscribe to the channel. Cheers, take your sets to failure, do it safely, and make progress.